This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. It's something that I'll never forget.
Every day I'm working on that case. Every day we're figuring something out. Every day we're talking to investigators. And that's essentially what Alex did on this case.
All right, let's move on now.
The world of fame and fortune has always been a double-edged sword. For every dazzling red carpet moment, there's often a shadowy tale lurking behind the scenes. And right now, the entertainment industry is buzzing with jaw-dropping allegations that have left fans and critics alike shaking their heads in disbelief. Sean Diddy Combs, a name long synonymous with success, luxury, and the meteoric rise of hip-hop culture, is now facing accusations that could shatter his empire. The question on everyone's mind? How did it come to this?
Well, first of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company to people.
Picture this, a mogul who built an empire brick by brick, celebrated for his artistry and business acumen, now embroiled in a whirlwind of accusations that threaten to unravel everything he's worked for. The latest allegations reaching the public are nothing short of shocking. 2 new complaints filed in New York claim that Diddy was involved in deeply troubling incidents, with one of the accusers recounting events that transpired back in 2002. The story begins with a young woman referred to as Jane Doe who recalls an evening that started off innocently enough, a night out with friends in Times Square, only to spiral into a nightmarish ordeal. She alleges being lured into a party hosted by Diddy, where pre-mixed drinks were served, leaving her feeling disoriented and vulnerable. According to her account, she was taken to a separate room where a chaotic scene unfolded, one she described as being surrounded by people engaged in inappropriate acts. Her attempts to protest were ignored, and by the end of the night, she claimed she was threatened and made to feel unsafe. The emotional scars from that night, she says, have haunted her ever since.
Time frame is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it on their own.
But if that wasn't enough, the second complaint is even more harrowing. Another Jane Doe alleges that in 2020, she found herself at an event where Diddy was present, describing it as an environment that was nothing short of predatory. The accusations go on to paint a disturbing picture of what took place, with Jane Doe claiming to have witnessed situations that are difficult to even fathom. The legal action tied to these allegations not only demands compensatory damages, but also throws a spotlight on the mogul's alleged involvement in behavior that, if proven true, could lead to consequences that stretch into the rest of his life.
But it will be up to the jury. And there's really another piece of this case, and that's the racketeering case. And they don't really talk about that. Diddy's attorneys, Sean Combs' attorneys, they stay away from the racketeering part of this. They are focused solely on the trafficking part of this case.
And yet, the drama doesn't stop there. While these 2 women have stepped forward with their stories, the ripple effect of their claims has created a tidal wave of questions about what else might lie beneath the surface. Just last year, Diddy's legal troubles took center stage when another accuser dropped a bombshell lawsuit. The allegations, which initially included both Diddy and Jay-Z, claimed an incident involving a young woman over 2 decades ago. The lawsuit was abruptly withdrawn, leaving many to speculate about what happened behind closed doors. Some pointed to inconsistencies in the accuser's story, while others wondered if the sudden dismissal hinted at behind-the-scenes dealings or external pressures. Whatever the case, the abrupt end of the lawsuit only added more layers to the intrigue surrounding Diddy's legal saga. But what makes these accusations particularly heart-stopping is how they seem to be piling up. It feels like every week a new story emerges, each one more shocking than the last. As more individuals come forward with claims of misconduct, the question becomes, is this the beginning of the end for one of the most influential figures in entertainment? Or is Diddy being unfairly targeted at the height of his career, as his legal team argues? His attorneys have been vocal, calling these lawsuits baseless and driven by individuals seeking financial gain or media attention. They've denied all allegations and insist that Diddy has never engaged in coercive or harmful behavior, painting him as the victim of a sensationalized witch hunt.
Actually thought that he was above the law, so I can only think that he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to. And those people are when they're...
Legal experts, however, are quick to point out that the implications of these accusations go beyond the courtroom. The damage to Diddy's reputation could be irreversible, regardless of what the courts decide. Brands and business partners are known to distance themselves from controversy, and the court of public opinion often moves faster than any legal proceedings. With accusations that span decades, touching on multiple aspects of his personal and professional life, Diddy now finds himself at the center of a storm that shows no signs of calming down.
Good morning, Michael. At this point, we've all probably heard about these infamous parties. Diddy's assistant now giving us details about what he says were called Wild King Nights.
Adding fuel to the fire are rumors swirling about the nature of these parties at the heart of the allegations. Descriptions of meticulously organized gatherings with an undercurrent of questionable activities have captured the attention of both fans and skeptics. Former acquaintances, anonymous sources, and even partygoers have begun sharing their own recollections, some of which align with the complaints being filed. While these accounts remain unverified, they serve to heighten the sensationalism surrounding the case and raise even more questions about the environments Diddy allegedly fostered.
A lot of times you'd have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
Then there's the matter of the lawsuit involving Jay-Z. The two music icons have shared a complicated history, both as collaborators and competitors. So when Jay-Z's name was added to the lawsuit alongside Diddy's, it sent shockwaves through the industry. The claim alleged their involvement in an incident that was both chilling and highly controversial. And yet, just as quickly as the lawsuit appeared, it vanished, dismissed without prejudice. Jay-Z, for his part, has publicly celebrated the dismissal, calling it a victory for truth and justice. But skeptics remain unconvinced. Was this a genuine resolution, or was there more to the story? Did behind-the-scenes negotiations lead to the lawsuit's sudden disappearance, or was it dismissed due to a lack of evidence? The mystery has only deepened, leaving fans to speculate and theorize.
Jay-Z is speaking out this morning after the civil suit accusing him and Sean Diddy Combs of was dropped. NBC's Chloe Malas is here with more.
Interestingly, Diddy's legal troubles don't exist in isolation. The entertainment industry has seen a wave of high-profile figures come under scrutiny in recent years, with their past actions being re-examined through a more critical lens. For some, this reckoning has led to accountability and justice. For others, it has served as a reminder of the power dynamics and complexities that define celebrity culture. Diddy's case, however, stands out for its sheer scale and the gravity of the allegations. The mogul's rise to fame has been defined by his ability to command attention, but now, that spotlight feels more like a glaring interrogation lamp.
Lawsuit was withdrawn by the accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, on Friday with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. Now, this lawsuit had originally been filed in December on behalf of a woman only known as Jane Doe, who claimed that Jay-Z and Combs raped her when she was just 13 years old at a house party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards.
What's particularly striking is the way each new allegation seems to add a new layer to the narrative. While Diddy's legal team continues to dismiss these claims as opportunistic and unfounded, the accumulation of stories paints a broader picture that's difficult to ignore. The allegations have sparked debates about power, privilege, and accountability in the entertainment world, forcing fans and insiders alike to confront uncomfortable truths. In the midst of all this, Diddy's efforts to defend himself have been relentless. His legal team has filed motions, countersuits, and public statements at a near constant pace. They argue that the media frenzy surrounding these cases has created a biased environment, one that makes it impossible for Diddy to receive a fair trial. They've pointed to what they call trial by headlines, accusing the press of sensationalizing claims and turning public opinion against their client. Yet, despite their efforts to control the narrative, the tide of allegations continues to rise.
Short win. It's really much more of a loss for the legal team of Jay-Z and Diddy.
Why would you say that? Because the judge was kind of harsh to Jay-Z and Diddy in her response?
Yeah, this is sort of like, if a child asks you for something and you're trying to teach them a lesson, you say, no, not right now. Go be good for a little while, then come back and ask me again.
As of now, Diddy remains in custody, awaiting his day in court. The stakes couldn't be higher. With potential lifelong consequences hanging in the balance, the outcome of these cases will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications, not just for Diddy, but for the entertainment industry as a whole. And while some see this as a long overdue reckoning, Others view it as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked fame and power. But the question remains, is this an orchestrated attempt to bring down a powerful figure, or are the allegations a long overdue exposure of hidden truths? As the legal battles unfold, the world will be watching, waiting for answers that may or may not ever fully come to light. And with so much at stake, the next chapter in this unfolding saga promises to be just as explosive as the last.
Currently is balancing the public's need for information and the defense's need for information so they can prepare for trial versus the effect that this will have on the alleged victim and her psyche. And obviously the world knows that as soon as her name is revealed, everyone is going to come down on her, from the media to her, to his attorneys, to the social media. You're going to get it from all sides.
The whispers swirling around Sean Diddy Combs' legal battles have now collided with a new storm of conspiracy theories, and let's be honest, this is the part of the story where things get truly wild. The dismissal of that lawsuit involving both Diddy and Jay-Z has fueled a firestorm of speculation, and fans and critics alike are asking, was there more at play behind the scenes? Some believe it wasn't just a simple case of insufficient evidence, but rather a calculated move to protect powerful figures. Others wonder if there was a deal struck, a quiet agreement to make the whole thing disappear. But if that's the case, what was on the table? And more importantly, what does it say about the broader context of Diddy's mounting legal troubles?
She walked away, got no money, got nothing. Over. And Jay-Z celebrated that, the fact that, we should say, and it was filed by the lawyer who has filed a slew of lawsuits.
Imagine this. Two of the biggest names in music, Diddy and Jay-Z, suddenly find themselves entangled in a lawsuit that could have sent shockwaves through the industry. Yet just as quickly as the lawsuit emerged, it vanished without warning. Jay-Z, of course, wasted no time declaring victory, calling it proof that the claims were baseless. But skeptics are raising their eyebrows. Some are asking whether Jay-Z's immense resources and influence could have played a role in getting the lawsuit dismissed. Others are pointing fingers at Diddy, wondering if he leveraged his connections to make the problem go away. After all, the timing couldn't be more convenient. With Diddy already facing a slew of other allegations, the last thing he needed was an additional legal headache involving another high-profile celebrity. And let's not forget the attorney at the center of this saga, Tony Buzbee. Known for his flair for the dramatic and his knack for grabbing headlines, Buzbee has been the face behind many of the recent lawsuits targeting Diddy. But with this particular case, even he seemed to back down, at least for now. Why? Was he pressured to drop the lawsuit? Did he realize it might not hold up under scrutiny? Or was there something else entirely that prompted this sudden withdrawal? The lack of clear answers has only added to the intrigue, leaving fans to piece together the puzzle on their own.
With you, this was a troubling allegation because, first off, there were inconsistencies with her story, and it was a very serious allegation. And for instance, she said that her father picked her up from Rochester, New York to New York City, 5-hour drive, and then drove her home that night. But the father did not remember any of it. That's something you would definitely remember. And she also said there were other celebrities she spoke to at the party. Those celebrities were not even.
What's even more puzzling is the timing of the lawsuit's dismissal. Just days before it was dropped, rumors surfaced claiming that one of the accuser's key witnesses had recanted their statement. Although no official confirmation has been made, sources close to the situation allege that this witness withdrew their cooperation after being approached by individuals who may have ties to Diddy's camp. If true, this raises serious questions about whether external pressures or behind-the-scenes negotiations played a role in the sudden change. It also adds another layer of mystery to an already complicated case. Why would someone be motivated to backtrack on such serious claims?
There at the party. So I think what happened is this woman's claims weren't vetted properly. And then once the inconsistencies were revealed, they then cut bait. And in exchange for dismissing this, the plaintiff's lawyers here are not going to be found to be liable under the law for any misdeeds. They're not going to be sent to the bar for any disqualification. So they're just both going to go their separate ways.
Adding fuel to the fire, some insiders have suggested that Tony Buzbee's decision to walk away from the case wasn't as voluntary as it seems. Reports have emerged that Buzbee himself may have received warnings, whether legal or otherwise, that made pursuing the lawsuit more trouble than it was worth. This wouldn't be the first time a high-profile attorney has faced backlash for taking on a powerful opponent, but it does beg the question, was justice served? Or was this a case of intimidation winning out over accountability? As fans and critics speculate, the truth remains locked behind a veil of silence. And then, of course, there's the financial aspect. Lawsuits of this scale aren't just legal battles, they're massive financial undertakings. Some have speculated that the sudden withdrawal of this lawsuit could be tied to monetary negotiations that never made it to the public eye, were settlements offered and rejected behind closed doors, or perhaps promises were made to revisit the case under different circumstances. The lack of transparency only feeds the growing uncertainty, leaving everyone wondering whether this is truly the end of the story or just the beginning of a new chapter.
And in their complaint, Diddy's attorneys are saying that NBC Universal made the assumption that their client has committed numerous heinous crimes, including serial murder, R of minors, and S trafficking of minors.
Meanwhile, Diddy's legal strategy has been nothing short of aggressive. His team has been working overtime to shift the narrative, painting him as the victim of a coordinated attack. According to his attorneys, these lawsuits are nothing more than an attempt to tarnish his reputation and cash in on his success. They've argued that many of the claims lack credibility and that the accusers are hiding behind anonymity to avoid accountability. In their words, this isn't about justice, it's about headlines. And while that argument may resonate with some, others see it as a convenient way to sidestep the gravity of the allegations.
They go on to say, quote, it maliciously and baselessly jumps to the conclusions that Mr. Combs is a, quote, monster and a, quote, embodiment of Lucifer with, quote, a lot of similarities to Jeffrey Epstein.
But here's where things get even more complicated. Diddy's team has been fighting tooth and nail to secure his release on bail, a process that has proven to be anything but straightforward. The courts have denied his requests multiple times, citing concerns about witness tampering and the possibility that Diddy could flee the country. His attorneys, however, have pushed back hard, arguing that the conditions of his detention are inhumane and that he deserves the chance to prepare for his defense outside of a jail cell. They've pointed to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where Diddy is currently being held, as a facility notorious for its poor conditions. And while it's true that the center has faced scrutiny in the past, critics argue that Diddy's legal team is simply trying to play the sympathy card. It's worth noting that Diddy's attempts to secure bail have been met with fierce resistance from prosecutors, who insist that he poses a serious flight risk. They've pointed to his immense wealth and international connections as reasons to keep him behind bars. But Diddy's team has countered by arguing that he has no intention of running away and that doing so would only make things worse for him. They've even gone as far as to suggest that the prosecution's refusal to grant bail is part of a larger effort to humiliate Diddy and make it impossible for him to mount an effective defense. Whether or not that's true, one thing is clear: the battle over bail has become yet another flashpoint in a case that already feels like it's bursting at the seams.
There's no evidence about it. I mean, what are you doing? You're saying I did this stuff, and there's no evidence whatsoever. You're out of your mind. You're crazy. There's no evidence in this. Now, his attorneys argue that the documentary maliciously portrays him as a monster and draws unfounded comparisons, they allege, to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the lawsuit...
And then there's the question of Diddy's public image. For years, he's been a larger-than-life figure known for his charisma, his business ventures, and his undeniable influence on the music industry. But now, that image is being called into question, and Diddy is fighting to protect what's left of his legacy. His team has been quick to dismiss the allegations as nothing more than baseless rumors, insisting that all interactions involving Diddy have been consensual. They've pointed to his long history of philanthropic work and his contributions to the entertainment world as evidence that he's not the person these lawsuits make him out to be. But with so many allegations piling up, even some of his most loyal fans are starting to question how much they really know about the man behind the brand.
Specifically challenges allegations suggesting that Mr. Combs and his involvement in the 2018 of his former partner Kim Porter, whose passing was officially attributed to natural causes by the Los Angeles County coroners.
As for the conspiracy theories surrounding Diddy's legal troubles, they've taken on a life of their own. Some believe that he's being targeted because of his race and his success, pointing to the long history of powerful black men being brought down by allegations of misconduct. Diddy's attorneys have leaned into this narrative, arguing that he's being unfairly singled out for behavior that, according to them, is far from uncommon in the entertainment industry. They've even gone as far as to cite the controversial history of the Mann Act, a law that has been used to target prominent figures in the past. Whether or not this argument holds water, it's clear that Diddy's team is pulling out all the stops to defend their client.
It's obviously getting a whole new wave of attention and more focused attention on this victim. So I think it's going to be tied to the media cycle, if I had to guess, and how these rulings continue. And they have this celebrity name that is sort of waiting to take over the headlines when they choose to release it. So I think it will be added, but it's going to be a strategic time.
But not everyone is convinced by these arguments. Critics have pointed out that Diddy's legal team seems more focused on discrediting the accusers than addressing the allegations themselves. They've accused his attorneys of using scare tactics and deflection to avoid taking responsibility for their clients' actions. And while Diddy's team has denied these claims, the perception that they're playing hardball has only added to the drama. At the center of it all is Diddy himself, a man who has built an empire on his ability to command attention and defy the odds. But now he finds himself in uncharted territory, facing accusations that could bring his entire world crashing down. Whether he's able to weather this storm remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the stakes couldn't be higher, and as the legal battles rage on, the world will be watching, waiting to see how this story unfolds. So where does this all leave us? Are the allegations against Diddy the result of a coordinated effort to bring him down, or are they a long overdue reckoning for behavior that has gone unchecked for far too long? And what about the broader implications for the entertainment industry? As more and more powerful figures find themselves under scrutiny, it's clear that the days of sweeping things under the rug are over. But as for Diddy, his future hangs in the balance, and only time will tell what happens next. The question is, will he rise above the chaos, or will this be the end of an era? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all the latest celebrity gossip. Until next time, stay curious and keep the conversation going.